Hey everybody, it's Jeff and
Timothy
with Seymour with us. And we just recently got back from our cruise. It's probably been about a month and a half now. And one of the really cool things that we did on the cruise this time around was what?
we went scuba diving. We had talked about scuba diving on our previous cruises, but we just never did it. And this last year we finally decided to get our certification before we would go on the cruise, and then we set out.
And we did a total of 4 dives, 2 in Aruba and a couple more in Curaçao. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the Aruba cruise was, Aruba was one beautiful place. And when we arrived though for our scuba diving excursion, the weather was, dare I say, a little...
It was a bright, sunshiny day, but there was a lot of remnants of a previous storm that had passed through.
Yes.
It was rough.
Yeah, so the ocean was a bit angry, and it was one of our first boat dives. So we did what we call a giant stride off the back of the ship into a couple feet of seas. And I don't know about you, but I kind of felt like a cork in a bathtub. So we're bobbing up and down and up and down, and I don't know how much air I went through on the surface, but it was a considerable amount. But once we got below the surface, it was amazing. The first dive was on
The Antilla, and which was a German destroyer from World War II. It had actually been sunk just shortly after it was in port with Curaçao.
So it was, I think it was only like 40 something feet if I remember. It wasn't a real deep dive, but it was extremely interesting. The ship was laid up on its side. You could swim through certain areas of it with the guides, of course. There was about 14 of us on that. So not a whole lot to see on the second dive, although we did have a lot more air because we were a bit more comfortable with the seas at this point. So that was Aruba. It was fantastic. We really did enjoy it. But the highlight of our diving trip had to be Curaçao.
Curaçao was amazing. It was a shore dive, which means that basically we just walked out, laid down, and started swimming. That particular one, we went much deeper. We went nearly 60 feet on those, but our guide, her name's Rebel, and she is, in fact, a rebel. She does her own thing, and we had a great time.
One of the cutest things that she did, though, and she had kind of warned us in advance that if she saw something that excited her, she would try to talk underwater, and it was more like... At first, when she told us that she would try to do this, we kind of were like, okay, whatever, Rebel. You're kind of strange. But then, on our second dive, after, unfortunately, we had a lockout on her vehicle, we had to wait for a locksmith for about an hour. So we got to the second dive location, and timing was everything. What did we run into?
We ran into an enormous bait ball. It actually, to her admission, was one of the largest ones she had seen, and she has been on over 10,000 dives. And it was just an impressive sight.
Probably 3,000 to 4,000 fish circling with some jacks underneath it, trying to pick some fish off. It was clearly amazing. So highly, highly, highly recommend Curaçao diving. And if you go, of course, call us or comment, and we'll put you in touch with Rebel. One of the things that we did find out about cruise excursions, though, is that sometimes your better deal is going with a local guide, as long as you can be assured to get back to your cruise ship in time, and that's obviously the important part.
Yes.
We paid about half as much as some of the guys paid that were using the shore excursion from the ship. So anyways, that was our scuba diving. More to come along in those ways as our future trips come about. But I'm Jeff.
I'm Timothy.
And we are
Seymour with us.
Bye-bye.